Hey guys, I'm going to be doing a very detailed series about a sinew backing a bow. So, all of this sinew I purchased for $60, and that's not including the shipping. But it was a pretty good deal for that much sinew. It's a pretty good bulk. So, in order to back a bow, you have to process all of this sinew. It is time consuming, it is tedious, and it's not fun at all. So I'm going to show you guys how to do it properly so you don't have to go through the trial and error stage. So the bow I'm going to be backing is a yew-wood bow. It's very short. Alright, so this is the bow I'm going to be backing. It is yew-wood. Here, let me go in the sunlight real quick. So this bow is yew-wood, and right now it is strung backwards. On the back of the bow I have a growth ring. Well, I violated it in a few places, but it's not going to matter. But if you want an absolute rubber band of a bow, the back should be a single growth ring, even if you're sinew backing it. And that'll reduce the chances of any fibers separating. So let me lay this on the ground so you can get a profile. So that's what it looks like strung backwards. It's a deeper than the brace height would be strung the original direction. And so far I have not bent this bow the right way because I don't want to weaken the fibers quite yet. It's not ready for that. I have it strung backwards so I can store as much energy in this bow as possible. So when you string it, the string will have a higher pitch when you pluck it, and that is what gives a bow a really good cast. So I'm gonna let you guys join me as I sinew back this bow, and if it turns out good, this is going to be my personal bow. Very, very short, meant for dense brush. And there's a plane. I'll let it pass. I kind of hate living next to the airport. Alright, so I want to show you guys the grain I have on this real quick. I don't know if you can even see it. The screen on this iPod kind of sucks. But for the most part, down the center of the bow, there's a single growth ring. In a couple places I went through, but it's not really going to matter for this guy because yew-wood is pretty resilient to it. But if you're a safety freak and you want to make a bow that's going to, I don't know, have very less chance of breaking and bend, probably like 1/4 of an inch more, do not violate these. Like you can see right here where I violated. You can see right there in the center where I violated the growth ring. This side of the limb is not bad at all. So the back of this bow is flat, and the belly that's going to be facing towards me when I shoot is rounded. When I put the sinew on the bow, the back is going to be rounded, so it'll be an elliptical shape when I'm finished. Now, right now, this bow is tillered backwards. So, it was a process to get it strung this far, guys. It was long and tedious and careful. You have to actually tiller the bow backwards by scraping from the belly. And after I get the sinew on here and it cures, I can tiller it the right way by removing material from the belly. So be very, very careful when you're stringing your bow backwards. Alright, so we're gonna process some sinew. So right here I have a smooth hard surface with some leather underneath it so I don't make too much noise. And I have a hammer with a smooth surface. You don't want the pitted hammer or else it'll tear all of your fibers, so use smooth surface so you can have all your fibers full length. And this is a dehydrated chunk of deer sinew. This is the tendon that is the Achilles heel for a deer or an elk or any animal. That's what sinew is. You have one. I have one. Well, I have two because I have two legs. So all mammals, reptiles have sinew. So on the outside of this sinew there is a sheath, and this sheath is not usable and it has to be removed. And that's why you pound it with the hammer. Plus you want to separate all the fibers anyway, and you have to hammer it. So I'm gonna hammer it. And make sure to hammer in like 4 different directions so you can get it all to separate good. And it should all turn white. And there it is. So you have now pounded the sinew and it is nice and separated. So let me show you guys what the sheath is. So the sheath is this outer part. And inside you have this bundle of sinew right here. So this is the good stuff. You want to keep that. And there's some more right here. Peel that off too. So this is the sheath. It is unusable. So just throw that away. So now you see this film right here. This is a membrane. You can't have any of this stuff on your bow, so it has to go as well. See this membrane? This filmy white membrane stuff, it has to go. Get rid of any fibers of sinew that are obviously damaged. And make sure the ends are pounded and separated. Sometimes the ends will be stiff still. So we have that. So this is what the sinew looks like when you first start separating it. And you might want to use pliers and a vise because it's pretty hard to separate sometimes. But you want to separate all the fibers by pounding it and get in there somehow. And it takes a little bit of elbow grease to do this. And once it gets to that point, man, I need the vise and pliers. There's no way to do it by hand. And I want them full length. You can try pounding this a little more, but in my experience it doesn't help that much. There's a certain point to where you can pound it without damaging all the fibers. So you want to separate it all by splitting it. Always start in the middle, never start at the end of the piece or else your fibers will run off. So always start up like in the middle of the bundle, just like that. So this is going to be processed down even further into individual fibers, guys. And I'll get to that step right now. So you want to keep splitting it down. And you want pieces like this. Just like this. This is perfect for putting on a bow. So you want to set this down right here and then get more fibers to put in a pile and you want to make a bundle of these. Make sure that the ends of your bundles are not stiff. If they are, bite them off, because sometimes they'll have a little chunk on the end. So you want your bundle of sinew to all be similar length fibers. Never cut the ends to trim them and make them flush, because you want a fade, a nice fade for all the sinew bundles you put on your bow to fade into. And I will complete a sinew bundle and show you guys what that looks like. So now I have all my sinew cores. The one I showed you before, I think, was an elk sinew, and that stuff is it's not as tight and it's a lot looser. The fibers are looser, so it's easier to separate. These are deer sinew, and these are smaller. They're, you know, less wide in diameter, and the fibers are a lot tighter, and you have to keep pounding these so you can separate them. So I'll show you guys what that looks like here. So I'll put this iPod on my forehead real quick. Alright, so just I'm using this leather because it doesn't make as much noise and it's working alright, so using leather as a surface will work. And it's probably less likely to break any of your fibers. See how I flattened it right here? It's good to come back and get it going the other way a little bit. And right here there's a little bit of a dark spot. I need to hit that up too. And this thing is looking good. So this is at the point where it'll be easier to separate. And you can twist it up like that. You know, just get it started. And, you know, break it down like so. Over here I have some finished bundles, and I'll show you guys what those look like. I organize them in a magazine. So when I sinew back, when I'm applying it to the bow, it's all organized and nice and neat. So this is a sinew bundle. All the fibers are fluffy and none of them are stiff. You want them fluffy so your hide glue or your wood glue, whichever one you're using, can penetrate into the fibers and it'll become a homogeneous layer of sinew and glue. When you twist them like this, all your bundles should be the same thickness. So all the sinew on the back of the bow will be even, and you won't have any, you know, one limb stiffer than the other. And that's a big problem with sinew backing. You know, it creates a cattywampus sort of a bow because you have to remove more of the wood on one limb than the other. So, you know, it's good to have a balanced sinew job. So, you know, all of these bundles are the same. I twist them and they're the same thickness. They feel the same thickness on my fingers, and your fingers can differentiate thousandths of an inch. So trust the feel of them. And I'm filling this entire thing. It's 99-100 pages. So I'll see you guys when I'm about ready to do the first layer.